Hey guys, it's Destiny, and today we're going to be going over the best teams for Hyacine. And before we begin today's video, I would love to know if you are personally pulling for Hyacine or if you're skipping for someone else and for who. Lastly, if you enjoy videos like these, you make sure to subscribe, leave a like to support the video, and now let's get straight into it. I thought we could start off here with a character overview of Hyacine, which Hyacine is a Wind Remembrance character who focuses on healing allies with her skill and her ultimate, and her little pal, Little Ika, which is her memo sprite, will help contribute for her own personal damage output. Starting off with Hyacine's ultimate, it'll allow Hyacine to enter the After Rain state for 3 turns. And during the After Rain state, Hyacine will increase all allies' max HP. It is also worth noting that Little Ika will attack after Hyacine uses her ultimate, and after Hyacine uses an ability during the After Rain state. An ability would count as her basic attack or a skill, and Little Ika will deal damage onto enemies based on the healing that Hyacine and Little Ika have contributed throughout the battle. So as you keep healing up the team with your ultimate and your skill, this is going to assist with Little Ika's damage output. And Little Ika can definitely pack quite a punch. I have showcased Hyacine in a couple of videos now, and Little Ika definitely does a nice amount of damage. It feels as if you basically have a sustain character as well as a secondary damage dealer, if you will, which definitely reminds me a bit of Linksha. So I'm personally a very big fan of that, where Hyacine can nicely contribute her heals, but she can also nicely contribute damage output. And to make this even better, Hyacine has a trace that also helps out with her damage potential, which her trace is called Gloomy Grin, and this trace will increase Hyacine and Little Ika's crit rate to 100%. So this now allows you to not have to focus at all on crit rate for Hyacine, as she is guaranteed to crit. So I think this trace is honestly amazing just for ensuring that she's not missing those crits and being able to fully take advantage of that additional damage output that Little Ika will be able to provide for a team. It is also worth noting regarding that trace, when she does provide healing for an ally, and they have less than or equal to 50% of their max HP, then Hyacine and Little Ika's outgoing healing will increase by 25%, which is just useful for being able to give a bit more healing for the team, especially since a character on your team now has a bit lower health. They can help out with that additional outgoing healing. It is also worth noting that Hyacine does have Cleanse within her kit, as whenever she uses her skill or ultimate, she will dispel 1 debuff from all ally targets, and this is through her trace, Stormy Caress. As for her final trace, when Hyacine's speed exceeds 200, it'll increase her and Little Ika's max HP by 20%. Then for every 1 excess speed, it'll increase Hyacine and Little Ika's outgoing healing by 1%, and up to 200 excess speed to be taken into account for this. So when it comes to Hyacine in general, I would recommend going for that 200 speed range, which isn't actually the hardest thing to do due to the fact that she does have relic sets and planar sets that she nicely takes advantage of that will be able to increase her speed, and her light cone options also increase her speed, on top of the fact that she also has speed traces as well. So this will help out even more with trying to push her to that 200 range. So when it comes to Hyacine as well, since we're mentioning 200 speed, she will be a very fast sustain character, which means while her healing might not seem like too much at first, you have to consider she's going to be healing very frequently, and she's also going to be able to attack enemies frequently due to the fact that she's getting a bunch of turns, as well as Little Ika being able to attack after she uses an ability, assuming the After Rain state is active. And then another thing to note is that whenever allies do have their HP reduced, Little Ika will consume a percentage of their HP in order to restore HP for that ally. So when it comes to Hyacine in general, I would say she has very nice capabilities when it comes to her personal damage output, as well as being able to heal the team frequently. And then the After Rain state being able to increase all allies' max HP is very beneficial for our HP scaling damage dealers. Due to the fact that they scale off of HP, this now results in them being able to have increased damage output. So that's why her ultimate is very handy, especially for those HP scaling characters. But now that we've gone over a quick overview of Hyacine, we should go over teams now. Alrighty, so here we have Hyacine. I have her in the last slot here and she just looks so adorable. She matches my little theme for my pop-ups here, so I think that's adorable. I love Hyacine. She's so cute. And little Ika is also an adorable cutie. But Hyacine and little Ika definitely need some friends, so let's make our first team. Alrighty, we're just going to start off with Castorice, since this synergy is definitely one of the strongest synergies just right off the bat. So when it comes to Castorice and Hyacine, as I mentioned with the After Rain state, that is already going to benefit Castorice due to the fact that Castorice is an HP scaling damage dealer. On top of that, Hyacine, being the speed that she is going to be able to provide frequent healing for the team, which now results in Castorice being able to generate more new bud. This is even further amplified if you do get Hyacine's signature light cone, which we are going to go over some synergies that are very powerful if she does have her signature light cone. But when it comes to using her alongside Castorice, you don't need the signature light cone. But if you do have it, it is an additional plus, if you will, due to the fact that whenever Hyacine uses a basic attack skill or ultimate, she is going to be able to drain a small percentage of the team's HP, but this is useful just for being able to generate more new bud for Castorice. Also, her signature light cone will increase her speed, which, as mentioned, she will want a lot of it. And on top of that, Hyacine will also be able to inflict a debuff onto enemies, which is whenever the wearer's memosprite uses their memosprite skill. So essentially, when you're in the After Rain state and little Ika comes in to attack, there will be a debuff inflicted onto enemies, which will increase the damage taken by all enemies for 2 turns. So this debuff is also very useful for being able to allow the team to deal more damage onto enemies. And if you are using Tribbie in particular with Hyacine, what's really cool about this is, as mentioned with the After Rain state, the max HP will increase of the entire team. So Tribbie can actually benefit from this as well due to the fact that she is an HP scaling character, and Tribbie can contribute her own nice amount of damage output as well. So in this particular team, you have damage output coming from Castorice, Tribbie, and then also Hyacine. I guess you can also count Remembrance Trailblazer's ultimate. And also, whenever little Ika does come into attack, little Ika attacks all enemies. So because of that, that can help out when it comes to just getting a bit more energy for Tribbie here. So that's an awesome thing right there. But if you do not have Tribbie, it's okay. You can use a character like Ruame in Tribbie's slot. That can work fine. If you want to use alternative supports as well, like let's say you had Pela, you could use Pela in that slot. There's definitely options that you can go with for the 3rd slot of the team right here. I just personally like Tribbie quite a lot due to the fact that she's going to be able to provide those team-wide buffs, as well as, of course, her follow-ups. She's a great user of Dance Dance Dance, but the team-wide buffs are very important here due to the fact that it'll benefit Castorice, of course, but it's also gonna benefit Hyacine. And Hyacine has a nice amount of personal damage output that she can contribute, so it is worth considering maybe looking into a team-wide buffer when using a character like Hyacine on the team, just so Hyacine can deal a nice amount of damage output, or rather more damage output herself as well. And real quick, I just wanted to place Ruame in that little slot there, just so you know that Ruame can work. And of course, as I mentioned, Pela can work. But when it comes to Remembrance Trailblazer slot, I would say this is just a very nice option when it comes to using alongside Castorice, especially because they're a free character. But when it comes to a Castorice team, this is an option right here. But there's also another option you can go with, and these 2 options are very fun in my opinion. When it comes to Castorice, you can also use dual DPS alongside her, and this would end up being either Castorice and Mydei, or you could do Castorice and Blade. So in this case, I would say Tribbie is an excellent option because she's going to be able to provide buffs that the entire team can take advantage of. You still can consider Ruame, but do keep in mind of Ruame further delaying enemies, which can be a little annoying when it comes to getting a bit more charge for Mydei, or in the case of Blade, getting hit a bit more frequently so that you're able to take advantage of his follow-ups a bit more. But you could also put in that slot, for example, Pela. And additionally, if you do want to go with a single target buffer, so for example, let's say you went with Remembrance Trailblazer and you primarily buffed Castorice, that is okay as well, but do keep in mind that in the case of Mydei or Blade and then Hyacine, they won't really be getting those additional buffs from an amplifier to further the damage output. That's another reason why a team-wide buffer is just a very nice option for these sorts of teams. But of course, if you don't have it available, it's a-okay. You can go with alternative options. And now when it comes to a non-Castorice team, so we're still going to be focusing a bit on Blade here. We're actually going to make a hyper carry Blade team. Now this in particular works the best if you do have Hyacine's signature light cone. If you don't though, you can just use a free-to-play light cone on her. And you know what? Now that we're here, I'm actually going to put the little signature light cone next to her, so it's an easier indicator of if this is more so a signature light cone team or not. Okay, so I'm having little Ika hold the signature light cone, so if you see it up there, that's what that is. But in this case, this is a hyper carry Blade team. I actually am going to be releasing a showcase on this team very soon. But in the case of Blade, he can benefit from the After Rain state. He's going to be able to fully take advantage of Tribbie's buffs. Remembrance Trailblazer is going to be able to provide him the action advance as well as the true damage buff from Mem support. That'll further increase Blade's damage output. But the reason why I have the signature light cone in little Ika's hands is due to the fact that, as mentioned, the signature light cone will be able to consume a percentage of allies' HP whenever the wearer uses a basic attack, skill, or ultimate. Which this is very useful due to the fact that this will actually allow you to get a stack for Blade's follow-up. This results now in Blade being able to deal more frequent follow-ups. And you technically can also equip this light cone on Remembrance Trailblazer. I'm gonna have Mem hold it. Hold on, let's just do this real quick. Oh no, the little image is behind Mem. Okay, whatever. Pretend Mem is making it float. But you can do this as well where Remembrance Trailblazer is also holding this light cone. Now I know this will require 2 of this light cone. You are going to be able to quickly charge up Blade's follow-ups, and he's going to be able to deal a bunch of follow-ups due to the fact that you can get those stacks from Hyacine now, stacks from Remembrance Trailblazer, and you will have both of these characters built with adequate speed. In the case of Hyacine, 200 plus. In the case of Remembrance Trailblazer, just a nice amount overall, as much as you can get. But in that scenario, they're going to be able to nicely give Blade more follow-up stacks, which with this team in general, he's going to be nicely amplified when it comes to his damage output. And this will probably get way better, especially when we get those Blade buffs next patch. So this can definitely be a pretty fun team, but also a strong team as well. And it's pretty cool just seeing Blade get some more potential synergies. If we don't have the signature light cone, that is okay, but I did want to mention what the signature light cone in particular is going to be able to provide for Blade. And then of course the signature light cone does inflict that debuff onto enemies, which is just useful for being able to deal even more damage output on them. So the signature light cone can definitely have some pretty nice value depending on what teams you are looking at. And when it comes to this team in general, if you do want to use an alternative support in the case of Tribbie's slot, that is okay as well. But I do like Tribbie in particular, especially because of the fact that Blade is going to be able to deal those frequent follow-ups, which now helps with getting Tribbie more and more energy to be able to use her ultimate more often. And if you are using Dance 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 on her, this will now provide the team that action advance as well. So this is a pretty cool team that you can mess around with. Of course, you can also use the Castorice Blade team. You can use some alternative supports here if you would like as well. For example, in the case of Remembrance Trailblazer, if you would rather use a different action advanced character, that could be okay as well. For example, let's say you had Sunday, you wanted to put Sunday on this team. You can consider that and maybe speed tuning it to where Blade goes and then Sunday goes and then Blade goes once again. That could actually be pretty good because now Blade is going to be able to attack more frequently. So there's definitely options you can mess around with, but this is a very fun team overall. So here is our next team, and I put Pela in the middle since you can either have 2 nihilities or you can even consider 1 nihility, 1 harmony character. It's ultimately up to you, but this is an Acheron team and will be taking advantage of Hyacine's signature light cone. Since Hyacine's signature light cone is going to be able to inflict a debuff onto enemies whenever the memosprite skill is used, which is little Ika attacking enemies, Hyacine can actually be a nice option for helping Acheron get more stacks to be able to unleash her ultimate. Now, when it comes to the spot of Jiao Cho, he's still very useful for getting Acheron more stacks due to his Ashen Roast, just his debuffs in general. Pela will be nice when it comes to just debuffing enemies, reducing their defense. But if you do want to go with 2 nihility, that could be an option right there. When we do get Cipher, which will actually be after Hyacine, you could end up using Acheron, Jiao Cho, Cipher, and Hyacine. You could also end up going with the 1 nihility, 1 harmony route, which once again, Tribbie is very useful here. But you can also use a character like Sunday. He's going to be able to advance forward Acheron, which now results in her attacking more frequently, which means more stack generation. And of course, Sunday is going to be able to also provide pretty nice buffs overall when it comes to further amplifying Acheron's damage output. But overall, there are multiple options you can end up going with, and this is for an E0 Acheron as well. I have actually showcased this on my channel, so if you do want to check that out, feel free to after this video. But Acheron can nicely take advantage of Hyacine's signature light cone to be able to get more stacks. So I thought I would just show an Acheron team with Hyacine. We have a lot of supports on the screen, but now we have big Herta teams. This synergy in particular doesn't need Hyacine's light cone. If you do have it, it'll be beneficial just for dealing more damage output. But if you don't have it, it's perfectly fine. With this team, we have the Herta. We do have Jade in the slot, but this slot is mainly just your secondary Erudition character. You can use Jade, you can use Serval, Little Herta, Anaxa, and so on. In particular with Jade though, I will mention a particular thing you can do that's pretty cool. And then we have in the 3rd slot, of course, once again, Tribbie. We also have Sunday, Robin, Rame, Mem. But when it comes to this particular team, a cool thing you could do if you have Jade and Tribbie in particular is you can actually make Tribbie the debt collector, which will now allow you to get more stacks for Jade through Tribbie's follow-ups, which will actually work out nicely due to the fact that Tribbie is going to be able to unleash those follow-up attacks onto enemies. And then this will be very useful for getting more and more stacks for Jade, and this will be very helpful for being able to get Herta more and more energy as well as stacking more interpretation onto enemies. And then in the case of Hyacine, Little Eco will be able to attack all enemies on the field, so because of that, that's going to benefit Tribbie getting more energy as well as Herta getting more energy, and then stacking interpretation onto enemies. I would say Hyacine can definitely work as a nice option if you do not have a character like Linksha already, since I know some are lacking Linksha. So if you don't have her, then you can use Hyacine on this kind of team. The only thing you will need to keep in mind of, depending on who your secondary Erudition is, also I guess who the support is as well, and if you do have Herta signature light cone or not, is the skill point management of this team. Big Herta can definitely take advantage of Hyacine's kit though overall. You can also use Hyacine on a Phainon team due to her attacking frequency. This can end up being useful for getting Phainon a bit more Flying Aureus stacks, especially if you do not have a character like Aventurine on your account or a character like Linksha on your account, then Hyacine can also work in this slot just due to her getting frequent turns and her attacking frequency overall. And then you would just have Phainon alongside another follow-up attacker to assist for getting her more and more Flying Aureus stacks. And then for your 3rd slot, it's ultimately up to you who this 3rd slot is, but some noteworthy options would be Tribbie or Robin due to their team-wide buffs. But of course, you can also use a character like Rame. There is Pela if you do not have many supports as well. So this can end up being a team possibility as well, especially if you do not have Aventurine or Linksha on your account. And when it comes to Hyacine in general, due to her kit as a sustain, she can be just a flexible option when it comes to just slotting her into teams and allowing her to just heal up your team. That's the nice thing with sustains is they also have that flexibility. While they may not be the best in slot for some teams, they'll still be able to help nicely contribute towards keeping your team alive, which at the end of the day is very helpful. And then of course the damage output from Little Eco will also be pretty nice as well. I think Hyacine is a very interesting sustain when it comes to just how fast she is, how frequently she's going to heal, how Little Eco can nicely contribute damage output, which allows her to basically be a secondary damage dealer, if you will, on the team. So overall, I'm a pretty big fan of Hyacine's kit, and I will be releasing some more showcases on her very soon, as well as my full Hyacine review. So do stay tuned for those videos. And once again, let me know if you are considering to pull Hyacine and what teams will you use her on. I hope you all did enjoy this video, and if you did, do make sure to subscribe, leave a like to support the video, and I hope to see you all next time. Peace.